What is going on, garden fans? Welcome back to the Permaculture Homestead. I'm really trying to stay consistent this year with the weekly updates. This place changes a lot from season to season. And right now, at this time of the year, I am living in a food jungle. There is so much growing on behind me, it's hard to show it all to you in just one video. In today's episode, I'm going to go over just one of my swale patties in depth for you. So come on back, enjoy the journey. Okay, garden fans, for the sake of time and because I don't really script these, I did just want to talk about one of my polycultures here on site today. Now I'm going to start by defining the space that I'm talking about here. I have a trench going 20 feet down my property right here. Boom, 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 boom. It goes all the way up to near the edge of the house by some water jugs where I'm using to water this trench. And if we just walk about 15 feet up a pathway here, we're going to run into another trench, another swale dug on contour that runs about 20 feet down the property line. Once again, it's really close to the water. And in between these two trenches is a polyculture, a swale patty, so to speak. And their plants on this polyculture are watered from these trenches. I have a drip irrigation system here that I utilize. Cheap, gravity-fed rainwater dripping into these swale mounds right here, these ditches that are dug on contour, and they are watering the trees that are downhill. And I got a number of fruit trees here on site, mostly fruit trees because I don't have the sun for nut trees. So on the downhill side of this upper swale mound, I have a mulberry, there's a fig, there's a peach, and there is a pawpaw. There is another peach tree not too far from a mulberry right here. It will soon reach the fate of the other peach trees. I'm going to prune it down really small, turn it more into a shrub. So those are basically the tree species here. Now there's a lot of understory species, support species. I've got chop and drop species like autumn olive. This is a chop and drop nitrogen fixer. Another perennial or semi-perennial support species is moringa. Now I've been able to overwinter moringa in Zone 8, South Carolina for 3 years. This is the third year this moringa has come up from the roots. And the secret to that has just been to mulch it very deeply. Other cool things back here like hibiscus. Hibiscus comes back for us from seed about every year. It's a subtropical plant. And we do live in a semi-subtropical region. Some other understory plants here are things like blackberries. I let blackberries run wild underneath this food forest. There are mulberries, and this is elderberry, also growing as a shrub layer. We have an herb layer. Things like rosemary are growing through here. And there are tons of other herbs growing underneath this giant food canopy. Chives, garlic chives, catmint, veggies like kale and collards are growing through here. There are other support shrubs like pineapple guava, which at this time of the year really don't mind the shade provided to them by all the trees around them. And once again, this peach tree here is going to get cut down. I'm going to turn it into more of a shrub and less of a tree, and that's going to bring some light to more of the surrounding species. Now I'll give you a couple angles to this swale patty. On one section of the patty, I have a giant hedge of elderberry. Elderberry is one of my favorite plants to grow. It can be a very rewarding plant. Right now it is fruiting for us. Once all these fruits change color, we'll be able to harvest. And right now it's providing a good shade to the back of my home. So I'm getting some thermal protection from this hedge of elderberry. Once we get past the summer, I'm going to chop this hedge all the way down, and I'll now finally get some sun to my house when I need it, when it's cold. Now there are other things growing here, things I let grow, things that people would call weeds, like mimosa. Mimosa is a nitrogen fixer as well, and I'm letting it grow on some of the swale mounds of this polyculture. The mimosa is doing a good job of trellising my passion fruit vines, which are now coming up through the food forest. So this really looks like a subtropical temperate food forest in action. The ground cover is a very wild native dewberry, thorny blackberries, and I let them grow. This is the kind of system I'm trying to create. Very low maintenance, plants that people would call invasive. I call them friends. They feed me. I don't have to maintain them very hard. So here's another angle of that same polyculture. Here's the trench that I'm watering right now. It's 20 feet down in the other direction. You can see a peach tree. This is about as tall as this peach tree is ever going to get. Not too far away is a fig. This is a black mission fig. It seems to be producing this year for us, finally. And it's a pretty thick, dense canopy. Underneath it, it's very shady. But there are things growing underneath. Once again, lots of herbs, mint. There are vegetables like holy zucchini. Look at this thing. Oh my gosh. I am 6'2". I wear a size 11 shoe. That zucchini's bigger than my foot. And we got veggies growing here underneath all this, garden fans. And here's just a live look at a harvest of zucchini. We've got basil. There are peppers back here that are starting to thrive in the heat of South Carolina. We have acorn squash that I have been picking. I grow veggies underneath this food forest. And this is like my prime specimen, the pawpaws, which I have quite a few pawpaws on site. So, green beans, look at this. Green beans coming in. Garden fans, I know I'm not giving you the best picture quality right now, and I know that this is all unscripted, unrehearsed, really not edited much at all. I'm trying to work on that here for y'all. I'm trying to get some sponsorships for this channel. I'm trying to get some better video equipment to give you a better quality look at what's growing on back here, because it really does deserve it. I wish that you could see this with your own eyes, the shapes that are being created by nature, the diversity of plants that's growing in a small space and not hurting each other whatsoever, the abundance that I'm getting out of this food forest in terms of fruit and daily vegetables and greens for my family is a blessing that I can't, it's hard to give you in just a video. But we got a lot growing on. I appreciate you continually watching. I'm going to stay up to date with the weekly videos. Otherwise, I'll lose motivation in the heat of the summer. Please like, share, and subscribe. As always, that's what really helps us out, garden fans. Thanks for watching. God bless.